Now we are live. It's always a challenge with OBS doing the live stream. And I guess, yes, we are live.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Fiedler audio live stream. We're coming a little bit stronger and louder across today, hopefully. Here's Mr. Thomas Fiedler. Hey, Thomas, how are you?
Fine, and you?
I'm fine now, finally, after struggling with these weird settings. When there are updates, things change, and you never know which things change exactly. So, hi, everybody. And is anybody with us? I see 12 people, and let's go. Seems to be working okay. All right, thank you for the feedback, Glenn Main. Wonderful. Yeah, the subject for today is a little bit about the NAMM show, which just closed 10 days ago, I think, and the state of Dolby Atmos at NAMM. So let's start, Thomas. You have not attended the NAMM show. I did attend the NAMM show. So from far away, did you hear anything regarding Dolby Atmos on the NAMM during the NAMM communication? Something that is significant to you. So let's check that.
Well, directly from NAMM, not. The only thing which, well, might be significant, but this future will show is, well, Eclipse audio. And it was not actually NAMM, but it was CES, I guess, where it was shown. And, well, we will see how that will work out for Google and Samsung. But otherwise, for Dolby Atmos, from NAMM, no, was quite silent. I mean, I know from Dolby itself that they had the John Lennon bus going on there, which is kind of an educational project to show students how to get started with Atmos. But that was like on the side, because it's a bus, so people have to go there, get into the bus, and so forth. So it's not directly in the area or in the halls of NAMM. But otherwise, no, I didn't hear. So you better tell me what did you see?
Yeah, not much. That's because I'm raising that subject. I was pretty amazed. Yes, I saw the John Lennon bus, and I even went there and took a token and waited in line until I could get on the bus and have a look at the studio. And actually, it was in the halls, which was really weird, because usually it was parked outside, but this time it was in the halls. And yeah, it's this recording mobile, the John Lennon bus, which travels around the country and offers workshops and tutorials and training for people, young people. And yes, they had a Dolby Atmos studio now in there, and it was showing just the Logic Atmos setup, and I talked to the gentleman there, and that was basically everything he knew. They didn't have any variations of solutions for creating Dolby Atmos content available there, so that was basically it. And apart from that, as we said already, we haven't heard too much. And so I was running around and trying to find some workshops and stuff. And the only thing I could find, and that was pretty interesting, that was at Odyssey, the headphone company, you know, this very exquisite headphones. They had a workshop with Mr. Andrew Scheps. He was guest at the booth, and they had 16 headphone stations there. You know, microphone setup, and Andrew was showing, talking about Dolby Atmos, his workflow, and he was showing some mixes. And yeah, we could even change the headphones to various models to have some comparisons there. Unfortunately, it was in the North Hall, it wasn't too loud, but it was loud enough that the quiet parts usually got completely lost, and some of the spatial stuff and subtle things get also lost because it was pretty noisy there. But it was quite interesting to learn a little bit more about his workflow and his various setups. So he is working with several beds. All they have are different binaural settings, and that's pretty advanced. And then generally it was amazing to hear his his straight and honest commitment towards headphones as his go-to method and monitoring system for starting his Atmos mixes. And he said that basically like 90% of the time he's on the headphones. He checks with the speakers in between, but as he says, 99.1 of the people out there will be listening to Atmos on headphones anyways. It's the format to go for, and to make sure it works also on speakers, then he takes the length to check it on his speakers as well. And so that was pretty amazing and very how would you call it, assuring, because that's what you are telling the people as well. Don't hesitate and don't shy away from what some people tell you, what you need to get started with Dolby Atmos. No, you don't need that. You have your headphones you love and know already, and just get the Dolby Atmos Composer and start mixing.
Yeah, as I said last year, you don't need headphones for mixing Dolby Atmos. Remember, you don't need speakers. Sorry, that came out right.
Careful! Somebody will cut this. Someone will cut this out and put it on the loop on the internet.
Oh yeah, that's terrorists. Yeah, no, you don't need speakers, or you only need headphones. So basically, last year I said it, and it was quite a stir amongst some engineers who said, "No, how can you say it?" And Dolby complained, and "No, this is not our message," and so forth. But it's the truth, actually. Of course, if you're starting out, you should check on speakers, because you don't want to mix something which is sounding bad on speakers. But when you get some experience, you actually can do the work on headphones.
Yes, absolutely. And on the other hand, checking on speakers tells you something, but it doesn't tell you everything. But that's something we might touch a little bit later, because I, at least for all things, I made some real world tests. But as I said later about that, and some further reassurance regarding mixing on headphones and focusing on simple and musician and producer friendly workflows. We had the chance, and we were lucky. I ran into DJ Swivel, who's a very renowned producer. He has sold over 200 million records, a multi-platinum awarded and Grammy awarded producer who has worked with a lot of amazing artists. And he was so spontaneous to, when I ran into him, to sit down for a moment and have a chat in the noise of the North Hall lobby, but it worked out nicely. Shout out to Holy Land Microphones, these new little lav mics, wireless mics. They dealt with the noise pretty well. And yeah, he was telling us about his workflow, and he's basically doing everything in headphones as well. And for some production he rents for a day. He said he went to Capitol Studios and checked the mixes with the artists there. And of course, there was some budget from the record company, and it was bigger mainstream artists. So there's the money, they can do that. But the essence is it all happened binaurally and in headphones. And yeah, he's pretty successful with that and pretty happy with that, especially with the Dolby Atmos Composer compared to some other solutions, because he said, and that's where I come from as well, from the practical standpoint, he loves it that you don't have to change your DAW channel setup, because when you want to go into the Dolby Atmos mixing with some DAWs, with the built-in situation, you have to put them into 7.1.4 mode, and so all your channel setups go away, and you need to have a different routing for your Atmos stuff. And if you stay stereo and work with the Dolby Atmos Composer, you can avoid that. So your system and your monitoring and listening environment stays the same. It's not so tedious, and it's easier to go back between when you want to pause your Atmos mix. You can easily go back without any changes to the next project, which is in stereo, and keep on working if you do a lot of stuff basically at the same time. And that's also a big convenience that I haven't thought about, but it's important for guys like him who just instantly get to stuff and open it when they have an idea and decide to, okay, I did this on this Atmos mix, maybe I want to change something else on another stereo mix and prepare for some Atmos stuff later. And then also he told us that usually he's getting stems, and even for his own stuff that he mixes, he will make stems out of his stereo project and then take it into Atmos. And what he said that he's even taking pretty much all the effect stuff over into the stems, and doesn't do too much with creative effects things in Dolby Atmos yet, at least. And that showed us or shows us that it's there's always still some room for being a little bit more fun and playfulness possible on the Dolby Atmos mixing level, and not so much just take what's there from stereo and bring it to Dolby Atmos. But we'll see how that will be going.
Yeah, I mean, he told that he is under certain conditions. So one thing is that, as he said, there is a stereo mix, and he wants to make an Atmos version which is as close as possible to the stereo version. So he kind of is limited to in his creative way of using things in Atmos. But it all depends on on the artist, on the record label, and all these different stuff, the different entities involved, so to say. But that's his approach, and interestingly, he's a Pro Tools user. So, I mean, Pro Tools has Dolby Atmos integrated. Pro Tools is the DAW with which is involved in Atmos productions for the longest time. Everything started out with Pro Tools, basically. And Pro Tools is also the culprit why there are only 712 beds, while the original playback format is 714. And he used to work before with Pro Tools, with the integrated way of Pro Tools, and he said it's totally convoluted. And when he got to use the composer, it's just straightforward. He just can run through. It's so easy to set up, and he basically loved it. And to be honest, I know him for some years now, and he also has his own plugin brand called DJ Swivel. You can find it as djswivel.com. And these plugins came to life through a cooperation between both of us. So very interesting guy, someone who comes out of practice, decades of practice, and creating some interesting stuff.
Yes, indeed. And he had everything there right away, even being not prepared to do this. And this was pretty impressive. Yeah, let's just for a moment look at our guests who are joining us today. And that's pretty interesting. Alex Promix says that he's using the Odyssey MM500. I think these are the many American model. They created especially for mixing and mastering, and they translate very well. He said, "Yeah, I can second that. They are pretty amazing." And then the other thing, yes, we didn't want to forget that. That's on our list for today as well, because our good friend, Mr. Martin Buff, the German mixer, engineer, and producer, who, his legacy goes back to, he's been working with Prince in the 90s, and he created a lot of amazing mixes for a lot of big artists since then. Won a Grammy for his work on the current Peter Gabriel album, the I.O. mix. So if you know or if you remember, there are 3 mixes available of that Peter Gabriel album. It's one mix by Chet Blake. I forgot the second one, to be honest. And the third one was the immersive mix, where basically Hans Martin got completely free reign and was invited to do whatever he would like to do. And we know from Hans Martin that he's working on speakers and on headphones as well. So we are in cool and positive contact with him. Somebody said here that he talked about this process and that he doesn't use the composer. Yes, we know that, but we also know that he has the composer. And it's just a question of workflow and where you come from. And that's maybe also the point. If you're so familiar with one DAW and you step by step got into stuff like already 4 years ago, willing to change your workflow is, of course, a challenge. And but we want everybody who's thinking about and getting into Atmos, take the fast train and join the Fiedler bus, I would say. So
it may be just a matter of time until everyone goes to the composer.
Yeah.
We will see. There are big plans.
That's true. And here's the call out for some examples and tutorials with guitars. Well, maybe we can touch that one. I wanted to, for myself, find out how some things work if we go the entire way from, the cradle to the grave. The grave here being the streamers, but of course that's not the grave. That's when the music hits a different incarnation.
Better say from conception to birth.
From conception to birth. Oh yeah. That's wonderful. Okay, I keep that in mind. So I had a project which was released already in a different version, and I had to change some things in there because there were some copyright issues, because the whole thing is a collage based on samples. And when that finally happened and there was a solution, I did a stereo mix, a new one, and I did an Atmos mix, and I published that, and that was released on Monday the 27th last month. So it's just 2 weeks ago. And that was pretty interesting because I did the whole mix on headphones, yes, on various models of headphones. And I was checking it on speakers, of course, as well. And just didn't feel the need to change anything. And then, I went through the label caster service, and it's put out on my label, Skating Dog Records, and it showed up on Apple Music. And then I was a little bit, astonished, because I found that finally what showed up on Apple Music is not significantly, but in parts different to what I actually did. And that's quite interesting. And there we will do a little bit further examination what that was. And maybe we can touch the thing regarding, the monitoring possibility, and to determine how much will be changed to your mix when it actually went through the Apple encoder, because the Apple encoder does something different than the pure Dolby Atmos encoding that would show up on, if I'm correct, on Tidal, right?
Tidal and Amazon Music, yeah.
Yeah, so Thomas, you know more about that.
The Dolby the Apple encoder or the Apple binaural algorithm is basically a binauralization of a 714 render of the Atmos mix. So this is the reason why Apple doesn't take into account your binaural settings which you put during production. And this is also the reason why it sounds different, because everything is first penned onto a virtual speaker layer, which is then binauralized. So you have 11 sources which are fixed in space, and everything is penned onto between these virtual speakers. While in Dolby, you have actual objects. When you have an object, when you move it around, the actual object gets binauralized. Of course, that is not quite the case once it is an MP4, because MP4 is basically a 5.1 downmix plus metadata, from which they then extract height and object positions and other stuff. But if you render the ADM file through the original Dolby Atmos renderer, then each and every object is rendered separately. Each and every channel in your up to 128 channel Atmos mix with the given binaural setting for each channel. While when you listen to it through the Apple binaural renderer, even if you use it, for example, in Logic, when you listen to your mix without actually going to an MP4 or something like this, if you listen to your mix through the Logic renderer, where you can actually select Apple Spatial Audio as the rendering format for your Atmos mix, then you will hear it with the intermediate step of having it mixed to 714 and then binauralized. So currently you can do this with Logic Pro. You can, if you mix in Logic, you can do it directly. If not, then you can import your ADM file and create a session from it, then use the internal renderer to check your Apple Spatial Audio sound. And there is, I think from Audio Movers is the company, they have a plugin and standalone app also until now only for Mac, which will also give you the possibility to listen back in case you don't use Logic. And well, it's on our list to also put it into our software, so that soon you will get the possibility to listen to Apple Spatial binaural rendering, so that you can actually compare between both ways of reproduction on headphones.
Yeah, because what happened is that my impression is that the left and right, and the LFE. They were, for me, the most obvious that they were changed in level. So the things that usually get a little bit less featured, I realized on speaker systems were the sides and the backs, and these were pretty all right. But the front and the LFE were a little bit treated a little bit differently, and I found that pretty amazing. It's still all right, so no big reason to complain. But that's the thing with Dolby Atmos. You have to check the final results pretty thoroughly, because there are changes that don't happen when you supply a stereo mix. When it's there as you know it, it's the same thing. And with Dolby Atmos, the interpretation is there's still a little bit space for how the guys interpret what you give them. So that's pretty.
What would be really interesting is to make a Apple spatial audio render of your ADM file, and then compare that to the Apple spatial audio render of what you get from Apple Music, to see what's the difference. What is there actually something which gets significantly reduced? With the format of Apple, I don't know how they encode it. They basically could do it almost lossless if they want, because 714 is a limited channel count, and if you look at today's possible transfer rates, you could do that. You could just not lossless, but you could transfer it at least in a better MP3 quality each and every channel of the 714 setup, since they only use a down mix or a render of 714 to binauralize. They could basically transfer that and get it extremely close to the ADM rendering on headphones. I don't know what they are doing currently, but that would be an option. If they will stay on that road, if at one time they will say, no, we will change our renderer to be more close to the Dolby renderer and take into account the binaural settings, then things of course change again. So what we will see. Again, this difference would be very interesting. So, if you take your ADM file to Logic and make a Apple Spatial Audio export and compare that to Apple Music, that would be really interesting to see what are the changes there. Because of course Dolby renderer and Apple renderer are different.
Yeah, I will definitely do that, because I'm curious as well, and maybe there's a way to deal with that and take some measures to prepare for these changes a little bit. It could be that I don't know, they take some dynamics decisions there and they decide to tame the LFE a little bit. I don't know, but yeah, I will try that, and we'll come back with the results, and maybe we can discuss it here.
Yeah,
and. By the way, whoever is interested, the track is called Culture Flash Second Act, and yeah, if you're interested, I can put the link into the comments, so you could compare the stereo and the Dolby Atmos mix. And by the way, there are a couple of guitars in the second part of the song which are pretty massive, and I found out that works pretty well. So. Could be a good way to record more guitars when needed next time, because you don't have only left-right. So, yeah, more instruments when needed, and maybe that's a poor segue to the fact that we are pretty happy about that. About the fact that we heard that the San Francisco Conservatory of Music got in touch, and they will start to look into the Dolby Atmos Composer as well. And we haven't heard any details yet, but we're pretty curious to hear what they would come up with, especially in this classical music cosmos, and how the results would be if they come back with us, hopefully with some examples or some releases as well. We might be able to point you guys towards and see what's going on there.
We are pretty happy about it because we just recently set up our educational program, which you can see on our homepage when you click on the educational page. And we are very keen to equip educational institutions, educators and students with our software so that they can get going. Of course, if someone really wants to start fresh and doesn't have a budget at all, then you still can use our free Dolby Atmos Composer Essential. But if you want to go pro, well, then there is still the educational version if you are a student or educator, so that you can get into things and into production very easily.
Yes, indeed. And so let's have another look at what's happening in the chat here.
Christian Lindquist is asking what the channel order is in the Dolby Atmos Composer. It depends. When you use it, when you output a multi-channel layout to your DAW directly, like you normally use a plugin, then it depends on the plugin format. Each and every plugin format has a different channel order. So VST3 is one thing, AudioNet is another thing, and AX is yet another thing. If you output it through the external output feature, then it is empty, and it is shown in the monitoring section. When you select a multi-channel layout, you can see each channel below the meters and each channel name below the meters, and that's basically what comes out of the external output.
Yeah, cool. So, Dolby Atmos is almost as good as stereo. Beardyman says. How do you mean that?
Yeah, because it's just a format. The question is what you do with it.
Yeah, so you think stereo mixes generally sound better than Atmos, or what do you mean by this? I'm pretty curious. And can you prepare some variations with an acoustic guitar? Well, maybe just do this yourselves.
Yeah,
and try, and work with the demo versions or the essential and see where you can take it, and especially with a couple of guitars and how you place them in the room. You wouldn't double acoustic guitars, I guess.
Why not?
Only strumming, maybe picking, maybe not, because of generally the musical content would not cater for that, but it's allowed what you like. So
I mean, if you are a very, very accurate player, then you can also double picking, but you need to be very accurate so that it still sounds good. And otherwise, Tom is right. I mean, experiment, because that's the only way you learn. If you expect ready-made solutions, well, you might get some ready-made solutions, but the question is, does it really fit to the music you are currently doing? So, and also, if you experiment for yourself, you get ideas, you get creative, and that's much more important than just copying what others are doing. Especially because everyone is, although there are some people who already work for years in Atmos, actually everyone is new there in this field. And so it's like in the beginning days of stereo, I can only repeated, because in the beginning days of stereo, or beginning years of stereo, people didn't really know how to actually fill up the stage as we know today, with all the effects and all the psychoacoustic things which we use to get depth and width and to separate the different instruments from each other through intelligent EQing and compression and ducking and gating and all these things. So in the immersive field, things are a little bit different, although the basic techniques will always be the same, and it's highly recommended to also experiment with all these, let's say, tricks, which you know from stereo, to get this fullness of sound in the stereo field, to also apply it in the immersive field, although you might be overwhelmed at first because of so much space. Now you have so much space where you can put things. But if you don't use compression or EQ to make space for instruments, you can also easily clutter up your mix. It might still sound better than if you cramp everything like this in a stereo mix. But I think there's still so much room for improvement and so much room for finding out how to creatively use the space which you are given in the immersive realm. That I mean, the sky is the limit. So experiment, and again experiment.
Yes, and share experiences and the concepts, and learn from each other. So, because in regards of this, again, that was so interesting to hear Andrew Scheps talk about that. And there was one thing, I mentioned that before a couple of shows back, but he had some examples for this time, that he said, nobody tells you that you need to use all the speakers all the time in one song, in one track. And you could start with the stereo one, because even in Dolby Atmos, you still have the stereo speakers, the left-rights there. And you can dramatically create impact and atmospheres by only for certain parts activating signals to the other speakers and filling the room, and then falling back to become a little bit more focused to the front as well. So this is also a tool for creating dramatic effects just by spreading out and then taking it back as well. And I found it so amazing, that basically simple suggestion that you don't have to have everything running in multiple speakers all the time, and that might be also pretty interesting then.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, one should always think, if you're mixing a song, think, how would I, if I'm not restricted by any reproduction system, how would I like to experience the music? This is I think the starting thought. If you're not bound to a certain sound because you already have a stereo mix and the artist wants that the Atmos mix is sounding almost equal to the stereo version, then really start thinking about, how would I like to experience the music if I would have an ideal reproduction system from heaven. And I don't need to know how it works. I just try to imagine, get a sound image, and how would I like to experience this music, and then try to bring that imagination to life. And I think that is the right approach, and that will also give you ideas about which vary greatly from style to style. So you will imagine metal in a very different way than classical music or pop or I don't know, jazz. and whatever. I mean, each and every music style has like its point of excitement. And you need to just imagine what would be the most exciting way to experience this music. So if you are in a techno club, then techno will be experienced like it has to shake you, and it has to be very, very, very compact and very punchy in the face. And metal, the guitars have to like rule the stage and things like this. Or if you are in jazz, then jazz lives from this play between the different instruments. One is playing a certain a part of the music, and then another instrument or group of instruments responds to that. So they're playing with each other. They're having solos and things like this. So each and every music style has its own features, and 3D audio is giving you the possibility to emphasize it and to bring it more to life than you can do in stereo, because you have the space to do so. When you mix in stereo, it sounds totally different on speakers than on headphones, because in headphones you just have two direct signals and everything is playing between your ears. While in 3D you can create that stage which you imagine for the specific music type, for the specific music style. So, and I think this is a good starting point for your mixing. How would I like to experience the music without first thinking of how will I do that technically? How will I get there? No, just first imagine, and then start to work your way towards that and experiment. And on this way, you will experiment to find out, how do I get this effect? How do I get the guitars to make me feel in a certain way, which I imagine they should make me feel when I listen to this music in an ideal environment.
Yes, I totally agree. And imagining the guitars in a room, or generally, this brings me to Christian Lindquist. He says he produces a lot of acoustic nylon classical with Max 2 guitars, and it works well with Atmos. Duck with Spacelab is a gift from above. I'm sure Thomas would like to hear that. Yes. And Logic as a DAW is not that good on Atmos, but the combo is great. I think you mean the combo of Logic and the Dolby Atmos Composer. I can copy that, definitely, for sure. And I've been always thinking about, if you have a great acoustic recording of, for example, classical guitars, and you would have 2 of them, and you would add Spacelab, the Atmos mix could be pretty interesting, because you could play with the space and where they are, and it would be interesting. I don't know if you have these, if you have releases of your work and it's on Apple Music or so, feel free to just post the link, because I would be pretty curious to listen to this, and I'm sure Thomas would be as well.
Sure.
Because that's then an approach to start thinking about the music and the mix and the presentation on the Atmos level already, and utilize Spacelab for filling the room. Maybe that's I'd be really, really curious about. Yeah, and that brings us to the other thing. I touched it briefly before. So you guys, when you're releasing music, do you go through the big labels? Do you work for artists that have, the label deals, and you supply your Dolby Atmos mixes to, the management or so, and they will take it to the universals of these worlds, and they put it onto the streamers? Or are you independent, so to say, and have the choice through which digital service provider you go to? Because what I found out, pretty easiest way is a pretty easy way is to go through Labelcaster, and I wonder if you heard about that as well, because that's a cool possibility to publish your music and also have all your record company shenanigans for contracts and stuff like that to be taken care by them as well. So it's a pretty good and easy process, especially for independent artists, as DJ Swivel in the interview mentioned, that he feels a lot of independent producers and music composers, writers, performers shy a little bit away from the Dolby Atmos stuff, delivering and working for that format, because the old story, big investment, and they are afraid. And the second thing is, how does it all fit into the workflow? And every hiccup that makes things more complicated usually needs to be avoided, because it's hard enough for musicians these days. But there are some solutions which make it pretty easy to, if you have your stereo mix, just put your Atmos mix next to it, and off you go to the streamers. So please let us know how your experiences are and if there are wishes regarding this. Ribbon Joseph, I will try uploading more videos on my YouTube channel. Yeah, so please share your channel here. I mean, okay, we can click on your name and this should take us to your channel, I guess. Pretty cool. So everybody is invited. Please do so, and let us know what you do, and share your work, and put some questions next to it if you have some, because it would be always great to get some feedback and get a feel for what you guys are doing out there. So yeah, to be honest, for me, that would be the subjects we prepared for today, just to have a little bit of a NAMM recap and see what we could hear from the industry, what's new, what's exciting. And so far, we have to wait for the rest of the year, what it might be bring in terms of new exciting products. I have some ideas what might be on the roster for that, but we'll have to see. And I think the next AES and stuff like that, the major audio events, they will happen in early fall, I guess. It's usually September and October. And we'll see what's happening in between.
Well, I can only say that we have great plans for this year.
Oh, you do, actually.
Yeah. What a surprise. Yeah, we have great plans. So there will be new versions of Mastering Console and Composer. This is so much I can say, with a lot of new features, and just bringing Dolby Atmos to another level again, Dolby Atmos production, and it will keep us leading the pack when it comes to Dolby Atmos production tools, and it will keep you users also leading when it comes to production capabilities and possibilities and ease of use and things you will be able to do. So just stay tuned, and we got some surprises up our sleeves.
Very good. That's exciting to hear. Looking forward to that. Wow. And on top of that, there's another question for you guys in terms of tutorial content. It's always tricky with the rights to use some recorded music for tutorials on YouTube. So we raised that question already. So would you be interested in individual small group Zoom training sessions Or are you looking forward to more tutorials on YouTube? Or this was mentioned already as well. Do some more hands-on stuff during the live streams. That would be good to know what you think there. And maybe if there's content on your end, maybe if it's practicable, there could be also a hands-on thing with content from your side as well. What do you say, Thomas?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you can leave your suggestions, your ideas, and your links in the comments. And we keep looking. And when things are interesting, when some topics are interesting, and then we will definitely touch on it. And for example, we had the idea to make a live mixing session. It might take a little bit longer, but it will take a something, a song, and mix it live in Atmos for you to listen to it. And the good thing about this is you can listen to it on headphones, and you will actually listen or hear what we will hear through binaural, through headphones. And yeah, that would be something which we can do. If you're interested, just tell us, and we will give you a short demo mixing session.
All right. Cool. So, and again, thanks for the positive feedback that you seem to enjoy the Fiedler Audio Dolby Atmos tools. That's very great to hear. And yeah, so we might be ready to wrap it up. Or what do you say, Thomas?
Yeah.
Do you have anything more burning things to say or to ask the people here? Then thank you very much for listening, for joining. And if you have the Dolby Atmos tools, take your mixes and try at home what's possible with Dolby Atmos for you guys, and let us know about it and the entire world. Okay, thanks for watching and for listening. Thank you, Mr. Thomas Fiedler, for taking the time. I know that you're very, very busy these days. And we will see each other most probably again in 2 weeks.
Yes.
With, I guess, some hands-on tutorial things. I'm sure we will be able to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, is there another... Oh.
Thank you all.
Some tips, yes. I will see if I can find some of your YouTube channels after the chat and find out. Wonderful. Take care. Bye-bye.